Texas Governor Greg Abbott recent proclamation declaring Council on American-Islamic Relations, known as CAIR, and Muslim Brotherhood as foreign terrorist and transnational criminal organizations has ignited a fierce legal and political battle. The designation bans CAIR from acquiring land in Texas and exposes the group to heightened state enforcement. Now CAIR has filed a federal lawsuit challenging the move as unconstitutional and defamatory, arguing that the governor overstepped his authority and threatened civil rights and free speech protections. Joining us now to unpack the stakes for CAIR, for the Muslim community in Texas, and for civil rights law in America is CAIR board member John Floyd. John, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see all of you.
If you'd like to join the conversation, please give us a call or text 713-440-8870.
Mr. Floyd, the governor's proclamation, it alleges CAIR has, quote, repeatedly employed, affiliated with, and supported individuals promoting terrorism-related activities, unquote. Is this true?
It is not true. It's factually inaccurate. There's just no basis in fact whatsoever. In fact, listening to the previous segment, it really just kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier. This is political hate speech, fear-mongering, trying to gin up the base, and this is red meat, unfortunately.
And I guess that is essentially my next question.
Yeah.
I mean, why would the governor use such extreme words to describe a nonprofit organization? He also says the proclamation refers to CAIR as a, quote, successor organization to the Muslim Brotherhood. Talk to us about why you think that the governor is so directly going after you all and very harshly.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that for the past 20 years, the far right and now the Christian nationalist movement has been attacking the Muslim community throughout the country, using it to stir up their base and get them out to vote. And it's really filtered down to the local community. And now the governors and our state representatives, they're all basically just copying and pasting this hate rhetoric that's been ginned up by hate groups. There's a couple of them in Texas that have been very active in the Republican Party. They met with the governor just prior to this proclamation at a big hate rally up in North Texas. And basically, he's just taken what they've given him and issued a proclamation out of it. And so it's very disappointing. The governor is a smart man. He knows better. But to gin up hate against the black and brown community, the LGBTQ communities, the Muslim community, whatever target he can take down to make him more aligned with the president, it seems like, because he's coming up for re-election, he seems to do, and he's putting people in the community in danger. I'm really fearful about what this is going to do. We're getting hate calls at the office, at CAIR's office. I'm getting hate calls at my private law firm office, and it's all because this governor is using fear and hate to try to gin up his base.
John, give me the nuts and bolts on CAIR.
Right.
Is it like LULAC? I know what groups do. I know what the Girl Scouts do. They sell cookies and they go camping, right?
Yeah.
So what does CAIR do?
So CAIR is, people are familiar with ACLU. It's a similar kind of model. It is the largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization in the country. It's been in operation for over 30 years. We have chapters in 25 states. We have 3 chapters in Texas alone, in Houston, in DFW, and in Austin. And we educate the community. We get out and advocate for political change. We take students to the Capitol Day on a Muslim Capitol Day. And we also, kind of our bread and butter is the civil rights work. We have people that call in almost every day who are being discriminated against either at the job or at school or by law enforcement. And we advocate for those people and make sure their civil rights are protected. We've had to sue the governor in Texas. This will be the 4th time that we've sued him because of unconstitutional and illegal action on part of the state of Texas to demonize the Muslim community.
Let's look into the lawsuit a little bit. Your lawsuit argues that the proclamation violates First Amendment and property rights protections.
Yes.
So can you walk us through the constitutional arguments that you're raising and why you believe this must be upheld?
Well, we think this proclamation needs to be overturned. It is unconstitutional on several different premises. We've raised 4 different grounds in the lawsuit, but primarily just to escape all the legalese. The governor is using his power under this proclamation to gin up hate against the Muslim community, and he's doing it against CAIR because CAIR has become a target for these hate groups. So
but we can not like something someone's doing, but when you have a lawsuit, there is a legal basis for what he has done wrong.
Yes.
What are you saying in your lawsuit he has done wrong?
So primarily, so it makes sense, is that he has made this proclamation without any type of evidence gathering, without any hearing, without any due process, and he's issued this unconstitutional proclamation with kind of bleeding into some of the second prong of the lawsuit in order to chill freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of association. We're already having donors and board members wanting out of the organization. And so he is using his bully pulpit to try to infringe on the Muslim community and this organization's civil rights.
So is CAIR a small organization that sort of looks after the larger organization, or is CAIR a huge population?
So CAIR has 25 chapters around the country. So it has a national organization in Washington, D.C. We have a very large presence in California. That is the biggest chapter in the country. So it has hundreds of staff and volunteers around the country, I think over 500 at last count. And so primarily
And then does it have members? So you would have a staff, and then you would have a population of 40,000 people belong to CAIR.
Yeah.
It
is not a membership organization.
Okay, it's not.
No,
I just wanted to be clear.
No.
Because the fear that I'm hearing from the Republicans is that the more Muslims that come into Texas, the larger the population grows, the more voting power they have. This is the same of black people or brown people. The larger the numbers, the more voting power they have. And so there seems to be this white Christian nationalist group that doesn't really want any other group to have power.
Yes.
Is that what this is about?
In my opinion, that's exactly what this is about. We have seen this exact language that was cited earlier used in proclamations in Florida, and proclamations at our state house. And when we had our last Muslim Capital Day, we had a proclamation that had the same language, disinviting the Muslim community for attending the Capitol to get out. And we were basically teaching students how to approach their leaders and how to advocate for policy. Not only that, we had a hate group showed up, and they greeted us with a severed pig's head. We had a candidate from North Texas who came out, who rushed the stage and started yelling obscenities at the students that were there and about the religion. And this has just become really a boiling point for this community based on just fear and rhetoric. And I think you're right. You're spot on. There is, at last count, the estimates were there were about 500,000 Muslims in the state of Texas. We think that there's probably about 500,000 Muslims just in this region of the state now.
Do they vote in bloc?
No.
No. So it's just like, well, I mean, we saw a lot of split in the Latino community. A lot of Latinos voted Republican. A lot have voted Democrat. So there's no rhyme or reason. But so Muslims, they vote for who they feel is best representing them.
Traditionally, the Muslims who came here initially were, the professionals that were coming from other countries. And so they tended to vote Republican because of the family values issues and the tax issues, right? That's changed since now we have a second generation of Muslims, third generation of Muslims who are much more, liberal and get out and vote. I mean, they supported Bernie Sanders in high numbers. And so I think there is, the discussion you were having earlier is right on point. I think anything that threatens, what we're calling white culture. I mean, that's what they're talking about when they say you give us our culture back or you're taking away our culture. They're really focused on traditional 1940s and 50s white culture, and that's what they're afraid of.
And so in Governor Abbott's press release specifically announcing the proclamation, it said, quote, "The Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR have long made their goals clear to forcibly impose Sharia law and establish Islam's mastership of the world." What do you say to that?
It's nonsense. Again, it's unfortunate, but as a governor is a smart man. He knows better than this. There is absolutely no connection between the Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR whatsoever. There never has been. CAIR is a local American-based.
So there's no
501c3.
funding coming from
Absolutely not.
Outside of the U.S. that is funneling money to you all to
Absolutely
then
not.
impose certain ideologies.
No, this is just part of the hate-based rhetoric that people are spinning up, trying to demonize this organization, and by inference to demonize the community. Right? I mean, this is really a wink towards all Muslims are somehow controlled by foreign power or controlled by Sharia law. None of that is true. I mean, the Muslims that come to this country come here for a reason, right? They come to have freedom to be able to, to sincerely, practice their religious beliefs, but they're just like everyone else in the community. You see about 85% of the Muslims that are in this community are not regular masjid, mosque goers. They're just like anyone else. They show up for the holidays just like most of the Christians do, right? So it's nonsense and it's dangerous.
So if the governor's approach is that there is this tie between your organization and global terrorism,
yeah.
Is the argument to show that that doesn't exist, or is that, regardless, that doesn't matter to the lawsuit? The lawsuit is about the freedom of speech and the right to assemble. How do you attack this correctly?
So the legal basis is a constitutional argument, but the reality is this is in fact, we're excited about the governor's proclamation because this gives us an opportunity to air out all this nonsense. So we can kill two birds with one stone, right? We can hit him again. This will be, assuming we win this lawsuit, this will be the fourth lawsuit we've won against the governor for unconstitutional either legislation or proclamations. But it also allows us to get out and it show to the community in court, number one, where the governor's getting his information from. We know where he's getting it from. He's getting it from these hate-based groups. He claims that he's getting it from the GOP. I mean, none of those are investigative agencies, right? So we really want to air that out. And at the same time, we shouldn't have to do it. We shouldn't be apologizing for something we've not done. But at the same time, force them to show the community that there's no connection between any outside organizations and CAIR or the Muslim community at all. Because they're doing the same thing in North Texas with the Epic housing development. Yep. It's like you try to build a housing development, all of a sudden you're terrorists, right? You try to have a soup kitchen, and all of a sudden you're terrorists.
Or your voters. And I think that's what they're afraid of.
And this is not just happening in Texas. Other Republican officials have repeatedly called for this group to be investigated. Yeah. Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican out of Arkansas, and Republican Elise Stefanik, a Republican out of New York, has asked the Treasury Department to probe the organization's funding sources. We often talk about rhetoric and how it's dangerous. As somebody who is on the other end of this, can you give us an example of something that you have seen? Do you see upticks in, like you mentioned, you guys are getting more calls. Yeah. Talk to us about that.
So I guess initially after, October 7th and the tragedy that was, the response in this country was to immediately demonize the Muslim community that was here. There was a large social media attack on the Muslim community, citing unfounded things about our doctors and our lawyers. And in Houston, we represented clients here who were getting doxxed online. Their employers were being contacted saying that they were terrorists just because they were Muslims. And so that has been a steady uptick ever since then. We had over 8,000 complaints nationwide last year, and we're on par right now to exceed that. As far as the governors and what he's doing, I mean, we're immediately getting people, stalking the offices, people who are calling in with death threats, who are harassing people in the community, and it's causing a lot of fear, right? Because CAIR inside the Muslim community is relied upon to be the person you call when you need help, when you are being discriminated against.
So not just terrorism, which I don't even know how to define that. In this case, but Minneapolis is a major city allowing the Adhan, which is the Muslim call to prayer. Yeah. They have speakers throughout Minneapolis. They have the speakers 5 times a day calling Muslims to prayer. Now imagine Houston having speakers all over the city 5 times a day calling Muslims to prayer. Right. Do you think Houstonians would be comfortable with that? And is that part of what this is about?
Well, I think it goes to that the fear of the unknown.
Right.
Right. We hear church bells, right? I hear church bells every day somewhere. That doesn't cause fear or people to react a certain way.
And it would give the impression that the Muslims are taking over. Yeah. They have their own sirens now.
Yeah, that's right, which is nonsense. I mean, if you look at Minneapolis, for example, I mean, the Muslim population there is still rather, I mean, it's large and it's dense for where it's located, but it's still a majority white community. I mean, they're not taking over. This is just rhetoric. It's like when he was talking about them eating dogs, right? When the president was talking about people eating dogs. This is all just rhetoric to spook people. I mean, Sharia law taking over in Texas is nonsense. I mean, we have rule of law here. We have courts. It's like saying the Ten Commandments or your Catholic laws or your Jewish laws are taking over Texas. I mean, this is something that people do in their personal lives, according to their personal beliefs, and no one's imposing anything on anyone.
Yes or no? You think you're going to win?
Yeah, we'll win.
Okay.
John Floyd is a board member of the Council on American-Islamic Relations. John, thank you for joining us today on Hello
Thank you all
Houston.
for having me.